Go.
Good morning, ATD family. We are back. This is a surprise because I got the weeks wrong and I thought I wasn't going to be here this week, but I actually won't be here next week. So next week's a bye week. We're taking one slight play out of the NFL playbook and giving ourselves a bye week. But welcome to another episode of ATD. It's Grand Slam Sam. It's Baseball Bill. We are back talking all things baseball. We are doing our predictions this year on this podcast as we
Hmm.
head towards as we're sliding into home, heading to the end of spring training. So and we're also gonna talk some top rookies going into this year. It's gonna be a really interesting podcast. We're excited that you're joining us. We're gonna start this off as we always do. Baseball Bill, how are you doing on this beautiful morning?
I'm doing excellent. I got to tell you, when you had presented the idea of doing the predictions, I kept thinking, Sam, like we're several weeks away, and then I realized you're out next week, and then I thought, well, wait a second, the 2024 through 2027 World Champion Los Angeles Dodgers play before you get back, so we got to make something happen. This is going to be an awesome
We
show this
gotta
morning. I'm
do it,
excited.
man. We just gotta do it. We just gotta
Just
dive
got to
head
do it.
first. We do.
Yep.
But
I've
before
already
we get
told you
started,
predictions.
oh,
I already told you the Dodgers record. We'll get into it later.
yeah, we will. I highly doubt it will happen, but we will. But before we get started, we have to start this off now, as we do, by
Yep.
thanking our amazing sponsors.
Sponsors.
Amazing sponsors, the people that allow us to do what we do every week. Keeps CFR running, keeps me employed. Well, partially employed.
Keep,
First and
keeps the lights on.
foremost, gotta thank the big diner right in the smack dab center of the slide. If you're not seeing it, Ruby's Diner. From what I hear, the burgers are spectacular, the fries are nice and crisp, and it kind of gives you that reminder of a New York, New Jersey atmosphere. From what I've been hearing, what are you thinking, Bill?
Yeah, it does. And it also gives you the atmosphere of the 50s diner, the straight up 50s diner. I mean, they got amazing cars out in front. It's great. It's good stuff.
Kind of takes you back to Cars, the movie with the
Yeah.
diner, and it's all the
Yes.
old schools out there.
Yes.
Gotta love it. Also, gotta thank Drunken Gentleman's Clothing. Put out amazing, amazing apparel for people to go and get. Definitely, if you haven't checked them out, check them out. And then, Bill, what does America run on?
The Inland Empire runs on Duncan. I mean, these guys, we want to thank Andrea, Jordan, and Jeff and their team over there that run the Inland Empire, Upland, Fontana, the Ontario Airport, Rancho Cucamonga, a couple of places in Colton. It's awesome. I mean, it's great that Sam, I think I told you this the first time I had been in Dunkin' Donuts as an adult. There used to be one right by me, and then it shut down. But as an adult, I was in Jersey and I ordered a dozen donut holes, and they looked at me like I was crazy. And they said, "Well, we sell them in 13, and we don't call them donut holes; they're called munchkins." And I said, "Munchkin is a little person in freaking Wizard of Oz. It's not a freaking donut. I want one of them small little things." And they said, "No, those are munchkins, sir." And I said, "Whatever, okay. Give me some munchkins." Jeez, I
Get
tell
some
you.
Munchkins. Gotta
And
get
my
the
boss was
Munchkins. Well,
laughing
thank
like
you.
crazy.
Well, you got to thank the Inland Empire as they run on Duncan as well as the rest of America. Again, thank you to our sponsors. We can't do what we do without your support and help in making sure that we stayed employed on a daily
Yep.
basis. So, thank you so much. We're going to jump into a quick little injury report. Not too many injuries to report on, but the Yankees keep getting demolished right now by injury bug.
Yep.
Lewis Gill has a lat injury, expected to be out till the third. They're already out Giancarlo Stanton for the first couple of months of the season. Lewis Gill, this is a knock to their pitching. This is a knock. How is this going to impact them as they, try to get things going up there in the Bronx?
Yeah. Sam, you bring up a good point now. Plenty of te- plenty of teams have won the World Series with two really good starting pitchers, and they got Max Fried and Garrett. I got first base Cole on their team. But that being said, there's so many more playoff games now, and you got to get to the playoffs. And him being out is a big blow to their starting pitching. If you look at their depth chart on MLB.com, you see how big of a impact this is. This is huge.
Yeah, and they're looking to repeat and get back to the big game. Might be down a big hitter, but brought in a good first baseman to kind of pick up that slack a little bit. Goldie's still got a lot of petrol in the tank, but from a pitching perspective, this is going to hurt.
Yep.
Especially being out the first 2 months of the season, and even being out those first 2 months of the season, when you get back into the swing of things, you're not at full swing. You got to kind of get your arm back loose. You got to get back into getting your curve, getting your slider, getting your sinker, getting your fastball up to speed.
Yep.
So, this is a huge loss for them, especially in that starting rotation. So it'll be interesting to see. As well, you got Sean Murphy with a rib injury out to the middle of April for Atlanta. And then Luis Garcia for Houston out with an elbow injury, expected to miss the first month of the season.
Mhm.
I know Luis Gil is going to be a huge knock for the Yankees, but out of Sean and Luis Garcia, which is the bigger loss for which team?
To me, that's a great question because I would call that a draw. But if you're going to ask me that specific question, Sam, I'm probably going to go with Houston. Well, shoot. Probably going to go with Sean Murphy over in Atlanta because Atlanta needs all the offense that they can get, and they need a good backstop. They play in a
Yep.
very tough division with the Mets and with the Phillies. So Houston, that still is a weaker division, but it's not the weakest division in baseball by any way, shape, or form. So I'm going to
No,
go Sean.
no, not at all. And especially with the Braves looking to have a bounce back year after being plagued with the injury bug last year,
Mhm.
losing Stash, losing Acuna, losing Sean as the backstop in those first couple of weeks
It's
it's going
huge,
to be it's huge. It's definitely huge. And depending on who they have in those first couple of weeks, I haven't taken a look at their schedule, but it's not easy to lose your backstop. He's more or less the quarterback of the field when you're on defense.
right?
He's the one, making sure guys are aligned and making sure your pitcher's got the right calls, putting in the good framing on the behind the plate. So yeah, big loss for them. Interesting to see how it's going to play out. And I agree. The AL West, while not the strongest division, is not the weakest.
Yeah, yeah,
Probably now, after you look at what the league has done in the last couple of years, I'd probably say it's the third weakest division in baseball.
yeah, yeah. And exactly. And if honestly, Sam, if this were 365 days ago, this wouldn't be a big deal for the Braves because they had Travis d'Arnaud. Now that Travis
Right.
d'Arnaud is in Anaheim, you have the depth chart for the Braves looks a lot more bleak, right? So they need to
Yep.
go to their minor league system.
No, 100%. I couldn't agree with you more in that. And as I pull up the Braves starting schedule going into into the season,
Mhm.
let's just take a quick gander at this. They start off, you know, between the 14th, they've got the Padres on a 4-game series in San Diego. They
Okay.
got the Dodgers on a 3-game series in LA.
Mhm.
Then they have the Miami, which I don't see as being too much of a competition swing for them. But then they have at home the Phillies and the Rays, and then when Sean's expected to be back, they have Toronto. So it's not like their first 6 series are easy. Like these are
Mhm.
tough series they're going to be coming into.
Yeah. Braves are in
So
trouble. Braves are in trouble here. Yeah,
yeah,
agree.
it'll be interesting. I wouldn't say they're in trouble. I would say this is a big concern for the beginning of the year, but it is a 162 game season.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think. the Braves, if they can come out 500 by the time Murphy is back, they'll be in a good spot. If they're 3 games below 500 by the time Murphy comes back, then I might put some worry. If they are more than 5 games below 500, I am very scared to see what's going to happen with the Braves.
Mhm.
And Thomas, don't DM me. Don't slide into my DMs. It's going to go right into my file bin. I love you, brother, but it's my opinion. You don't like it? Too bad.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, as we move on from the injury report and we get into the heart of spring training, we want to highlight some of the great rookies that are coming into spring training and who we're looking forward to seeing going into this year.
Mhm.
Um, if you're listening to this on if you're listening to this on Bleacher Brothers Radio, who we are so thankful to share our content with on their network, um, you're not able to see the slide. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can see who we got up here. But going through the top 10 rookies heading into 2025, as referenced by Baseball America, we got Roki Sasaki, right-handed pitcher for the Dodgers. Dylan Cruz, outfielder for the Washington Nationals after that trade. Jackson Jobe for Detroit, right-handed pitcher. Christian Campbell for Boston, second baseman. Matt Shaw for the Cubs at third. Jason Dominguez in outfield for the Yankees. Jacob Wilson for the Athletics at shortstop. Roman Anthony in the outfield for Boston. Bubba Chandler for Pittsburgh, the right-handed pitcher, and then Chase Dollander for Colorado at right-handed pitcher. Which I have to say I was shocked when I saw this top 10 and Rocky was on the list. Just saying,
Well,
throwing that out there.
I'm thinking if your name's Bubba, you have to be playing in the Steel City. You have to be playing
Yes.
for Pittsburgh. You can't have a name like Bubba and be playing in like New York or Boston. The Bostonians would
No.
be the Bubba. It'd be
Yeah.
all crazy. So yeah, you got to stick there. Um,
Bubba Boston. It'd be a
yeah,
very interesting.
Bubba Boston. There you go.
He
It's
should
Bubba
almost get
Boston.
traded to the Red Sox just so that could be his nickname. Bubba Boston. Oh, let's
Bubba Boston. A lot of these guys though are going to be really good. Roki Sasaki had a bunch of articles written about him after a spring training appearance, which I don't give much credence to spring training because guys are just working on stuff. But Jackson Jobe is going to be really good. Dylan Cruz is going to be really good. Jackson Jobe comes into the Detroit organization with a lot of young kids there, a lot of young kids
Yep.
there. So this is going to be good for him. The Nationals need a spark plug. They haven't really had a spark plug since Anthony Rendon and Bryce Harper. And so they need a spark plug. They need somebody to start talking about them. They play
Yeah.
in a division right now where the three teams that are really, really good are really, really good, which leaves them and Miami out of it.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree with you more. You know, as we looked at the rookies from this offseason, that the free agents, the trades, the guys that we were expecting, Roki Sasaki was number one on that list. He was the guy that everyone was looking at, similar to Yamamoto last year, pairing up with Shohei. But now you have to look at Roki going into a lineup, a starting rotation, a 15-man starting rotation with
14 man.
Shohei Ohtani, Yamamoto.
Mhm.
Now you throw Roki Sasaki in there. Then you got Blake Snell coming in.
Tyler
Um,
Glass now,
you know,
Clayton Kershaw, Tony Gonsolin, Dustin May. Yeah.
you're coming into an already deep rotation. It's already deep. So, you know, being that he's the number one rookie on this list, where do you see him sliding into the starting lineup for the
So
Dodgers?
So a lot of people don't understand this about the Dodgers, but the Dodgers are going to keep an innings limitation on both Kershaw and on Shohei this season because partially because Shohei they want to keep him on the bump as much as they can in the coming years, him coming off of surgery and things like that. So I expect Kershaw to get about 100 innings. I expect Clayton or Shohei to get about 100 innings. This guy will probably be the number 3 or 4 starter. It'll determine. I mean, obviously Yamamoto's there. Obviously, Blake Snell's there. Obviously, Tyler Glasnow's there. It will just determine where Shohei or Clayton fit in, what they're going to do with Dustin May, what they're going to do with guys like Tony Gonsolin, who's had a very good spring. So now you're looking at him. He's probably going to be a number 3 or 4. If he were pitching for almost any other team, I'm not going to say any other team, but almost any other team, he'd be a 1 or 2.
Yeah, I
Dodgers, he's
couldn't
probably
agree with
three or
you
four.
more in that. I couldn't
Yeah.
agree with you more in that. Um, you bring up Dustin May, and not to get away from talking about the rookies, but I want to kind of talk about him because he's kind of been one of those guys in the last couple of years that has always been able to produce, but does get hurt.
Yes.
Do you see the Dodgers convert with the inning limitation that they're going to probably put on a couple of guys, like you mentioned, Shohei and Clayton?
Right.
Do you see them converting Dustin May into a long reliever? Or do you
Oh.
still see him as being one of the starters
So
going out there
here
and going out there in the first inning?
here's the problem that the Dodgers have, and this is actually a very, very good problem to have, right? It's you have 3 guys. You have Tanner Scott, you have Blake Trinan, you have Kirby Yates, um, all who are closers by nature.
Mhm.
One of those guys is going to be the closer, which it sounds like Tanner Scott is going to be that guy. Um,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to pull this up real quick here for you as we're looking at that. You also have Michael Kopech, who used to be a closer as well. So there's no place for Dustin May to be a long reliever. He may slide into that role, but if you look at the Dodgers depth chart, which is insane, the rotation, right? The rotation. Blake Snell, Yamamoto, Tyler Glasnow, Shohei Ohtani, Roki Sasaki, Tony Gonsolin, Clayton Kershaw, Dustin May, Landon Knack, Emmett Sheehan. So I guess
Close to a 12-man starting
yeah,
rotation.
you're gonna pitch every 14th day. Enjoy it, get paid good money. No, yeah, but we'll see how that plays itself out, right?
No, I hear you, and like I said, I didn't want to take away from the rookies that we're talking about, but if I found it
You
to be
asked about
interesting.
rookies.
He was a topic of our conversations over the off season of where he's going to fit and how he's going to fit into this rotation.
Yeah,
So
you
I
asked
was
about
curious to
rookies.
get that feedback.
Yeah.
Now looking at Dylan Cruz, real quick. He's an interesting case. You brought up the fact that they need a spark
Yep.
over there in Washington. Now you got James
Desperately.
Woods, you got CJ Abrams, you got Mackenzie Gore over there. How how is Dylan going to fit into where do you see Dylan from a hitting aspect, from a leadership aspect, kind of stepping into that role and kind of becoming that next face of the organization for Washington?
So we're still a bit away from becoming the face of the organization. Does he provide what I'm going to call a spark plug? Yes. He does provide a spark plug there. I'm pulling up their depth chart too because this is an interesting scenario for him. Um, they have a number of outfielders out there, but they actually have him listed in center field, um, on the depth chart and in right field. Uh, will he break camp? I'm pretty confident that he'll break camp. Will he be an everyday player? Let's hope so. You also have James Wood out there too, who's another rookie sensation that
Yep.
that if you have a center fielder and a right fielder in James Wood and then Dylan Cruz, you've got a lot of things going on there. So
Yeah.
Washington's got a good chance at some pretty nice things.
Yeah. Do you see this group of young guys that they have now with Dylan, with Woods, with Abrams, with Gore, kind of giving them the opportunity to compete in what's already a pretty de- you know,
Yes.
deep NL East? Or do you still see them kind of being the outsiders looking in?
Not this year to compete, but they will do a lot better than what they did last season. And they will be a force to be reckoned with. When we talk about the predictions, I'll make a I'll make a statement that will help understand that side of it. Because
Yeah,
there's some things there that I think are very, very positive in what Washington is doing. And I think they're making a step.
100%.
Whereas whereas right now Miami's going the opposite direction.
I'd almost even say Philly is going in that opposite direction. I
Yeah,
live right outside of Philly.
But Philly has the ability to recruit players because of their history. They were in the World Series a couple of years ago, right? They were
Right.
in the World Series in 2022. The Nationals' only time ever being in the World Series was in 2019. And
But just also
since 20,
remember, they did win. They
yeah,
did win. They
yeah,
are 1 for 1 in World Series.
right. But they're 1 for 1 in World Series. And since then, they've combined a lot of losses.
Correct.
They've lost a lot of players. They've combined a lot of losses. Now, losing Anthony Rendon for the Nationals is probably a great thing for the Nationals. Because
Tony Two Bags.
this guy's just collecting his 37 mil tickets and not even working. So there.
Yeah.
But
Last guy I want to talk about on this list
well,
um, is Jason Dominguez. Because we
yeah,
saw him last year come up into the league. Now,
yep,
it wasn't his full rookie season. He'll actually be able to qualify for Rookie of the Year going into this year because
yep.
he only played a couple of months. He didn't hit the league minimum to qualify for a Rookie of the Year position. Losing Juan Soto, do you see Jason Dominguez as being that slide in spot to replace a Juan Soto? Or do you
Nope.
still think they're gonna have to go out and find a guy that is gonna be able to be that power bat that Juan Soto was for them in that
Who
big three hitting rotation?
who'd the Yankees sign in the offseason?
Besides Goldschmidt.
Besides Goldschmidt, who'd they sign in the outfield? They
Beats me
signed
because I don't typically pay attention to them.
they signed Cody Bellinger. So Cody Bellinger is trying to revitalize his career, is the best I can say that, right? So to answer your question, does Dominguez have the ability to step in? Sure. But you're also looking from a perspective of the Yankees here. And again, I'm just looking at it here. In left field, they can put Cody Bellinger, Aaron Judge, um, Cabrera, Oswaldo Cabrera, right? In center field, they can put Cody Bellinger, Aaron Judge, Trent Grissom, Cabrera. In right field, they can put Cody Bellinger, Aaron Judge, Cabrera, and Giancarlo Stanton. So, do I think that Jason Dominguez is going to get a significant amount of reps? Sure, I do. Do I think that he's going to be a spark plug this year for this season? Probably not. Probably not.
I
He's
hear where you're
also
coming with
21
that.
years old.
Right. And you bring up Giancarlo Stanton, he's starting to get to that upper echelon in age. Can't
Yeah,
run as much in the
yeah,
field as he used to. He's not the same defender that he used to be when he was with Miami or in those first couple of years at the Yankees when he was healthy. Um, you know, I kind of almost want to say, do you see them making the transition now that they probably could have made in the last 2 years of moving Stanton out of that fielding role and moving him into a solely DH role,
sure,
giving these opportunities to young guys like Jason Dominguez?
sure. The issue is that Jason Dominguez I've got him pulled up right here. Jason Dominguez last season had 56 at bats and 10 hits. So he hit 179. He's going to need to step that up just a little bit. Uh,
Yeah,
but yes, do absolutely. Do I think that we're getting to the point now where Giancarlo, I can't find a jersey that fits me correctly, Stanton, is going to be a DH? Yeah, yeah. I mean, he right now he's kind of made out of glass. So let
yeah,
him DH. Let him do whatever is going to keep him in the batter's box.
I hear that. I think that's the best way to put it. And we'll talk more about rookies as we head into the year, highlighting who made it out of camp, who's getting a starting role, who's kind of being a fill-in spot, and we'll see how this all plays out as we head into the year. But before we get to the meat of our conversation today, we
Meat,
want to take another moment to thank our sponsorship group.
yes.
We got to thank them.
Gotta
If
thank
we
him.
don't, they won't pay us. And we want to keep
No.
doing this show for you, as painful as it is sometimes to get up at the crack of dawn first thing in the morning on a Saturday. As Bill said earlier, the Inland Empire out there in California, they run on Duncan.
Ronald
I
Duncan.
can't even keep track of all the locations that they have. Bill, run them down for me.
Upland, Fontana, the Ontario Airport, Rancho Cucamonga, and then two in Colton.
I mean, they are keeping that area running on a fast note right down the first base line to hopefully get that easy first. Sometimes they may get pushed out of the ball, out of the track, but they always bring you right back to it.
Yep.
Um, Again, as always, got can't give a big enough shout out to the 50 style diner, Ruby's Diner out there on the PCH,
Mm-hmm.
giving you fantastic food on a regular basis and always looking to bring in some, give you that old school feel for some great classic diner food. And then finally, Drunken Gentleman's Clothing. If you aren't checking them out, what are you waiting for? Their stuff is fantastic. They're a great group of guys. Bill, tell me more about these guys over at Drunken Gentleman.
So Josh over at Drunken Gentleman, he created this club and this t-shirt apparel group. And these guys just get together and hang out and have a good time. They're not the guys that you would say, oh, gee, I don't want to be around these dudes. These guys are great dudes, and they're into baseball. They're into hockey. They love them some hockey. A lot of Ducks fans over there, which, being a Kings fan myself, that's like saying Dodgers and Giants. So, but these guys do a lot of great things, and if you've seen their website, they got a lot of great clothing apparel too. So check them out.
If you aren't checking them out, what are you waiting for? Make sure you get over to them. Like I said, can't thank our sponsors enough. Drunken Gentleman, Ruby's Diner, and the Inland Empire running on Dunkin' Donuts. We thank you to let us do what we do so you can do what you do. Hopefully, we're bringing you a couple of new fans in the process of doing that.
100%.
Um, but, as we move on from our sponsors, it is time, Bill. It is time. It is that time of year for you and I to put our layups on the line, lace them up,
Yes.
get ready to go. It is prediction period as we head into the last 2 weeks of spring training. Well, we're going to run this a little different. We're not going to be given our records for each team. But what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing some comparisons from last year going into this year, where we think teams are going to stack up. Will they end up in the same spots? And who's going to win in each of these incredible divisions? We got 6 divisions to get through, and we're not going to waste any time. We're going to jump right into it. We're going to start with the American League. We're going to move it over to the East, and then we'll end with the fourth best division in baseball, the AL West.
Portsmouth.
Bill, let's start off with the AL East, as we said. Looking
Okay.
at last year's rankings, Yankees finished 94 and 68, winning that division. Orioles picking up a wild card, finishing 91 and 71. Red Sox 81 and 81, perfect 500 record. Rays 80 and 82 just missed it by a game, just a singular game. And then the Blue Jays finishing 74 and 88. They were 20 game they finished 20 games back in the division. Um, weren't the top league team in there, but had a reasonably decent season. So, looking at these five teams, where are they going to stack up this year?
Yep. Um, each of the teams in this division is going to get better except for the Orioles. The Orioles are not going to win 90 games this season. They lost too much. I hope that they do, but they've lost too much. The Yankees are going to win that division. Boston's going to come in second. Boston's going to get a wild card. That's my mic drop on the American League East.
Okay, do you see how now you mentioned that the Orioles are going to drop this year? I know they lost a couple of guys, but they do have some good guys in their farm system.
Mhm.
Halladay is kind of getting his feet under him a little bit more now. He'll be the standing second baseman going into the start of the year.
Mhm.
Um, you mentioned that they have a great alumnus working with the two guys on the middle infield to have that kind of mojo going. But they lost a key pitcher. They lost a key pitcher in their starting rotation.
Mhm. And
How
that's the problem.
far of a yeah, how far of a drop are you seeing them take? Are you seeing them dropping just a third? Do you see them dropping to fourth? Do you
Pro-
see one of the two bottom teams taking a big leap going into the year? How is this
No,
going to work?
they dropped to third, and they'll probably have someplace in the ballpark of about 85 wins, 86 wins. They're still going to be above 500. They're still going to be a really good team, but they're not going to be the team that they were last.
Okay. Now, when you look at the three wild card teams going into last year's AL division, you had the Orioles at 91-71. You had the Royals and the Tigers both finish 86 and 76.
Mhm.
Do you see the Orioles being on the cusp of a playoff berth and missing by half a game, or do you see them making it by half a game or more?
No, the Orioles are going to miss the playoffs, but they're going to miss it by a game or two or three. Our wild card teams this season are going to be Boston, and then when we get to the other divisions, I'll tell you who the other two wild card teams are. But
Okay,
Boston's
keeping it
gonna,
a
the Orioles are gonna
surprise.
miss it. The Orioles are gonna miss it this season.
I think they're gonna. I think they'll be closer than you think. I still agree with you. I think they will miss it, but I only think they'll miss it by half a game to a game and a half. I
You
don't
can't
think it'll
have a
be
half a
more
game.
than a game
Everybody
and a
plays the
half.
same amount of games, dude. You gotta have a game.
Okay, then I think it'll be one game, maybe two at most. But I
Quarters of
don't
a
think it'll be
game.
more than that.
So carry the one, divide by two.
Depending on how things play out, sometimes there's one team that doesn't play 162 games. You never know. Who
True.
knows? It could all of a sudden start snowing
True.
in Atlanta and they could miss a game. Who the heck knows?
True.
I
True.
always tell
True.
people the weathermen have the best job. They're never right, they're never wrong. They just make predictions.
Yep.
Similar to what we do on the show. We just make predictions. We're not right. We're not wrong. Don't quote us on it. Don't drown our inboxes because guess what? It's getting filed. It just will. Or Bill
Yep.
will send you to voicemail. Either
I'll
way.
send him voicemail.
Um,
Yep.
moving on to the American League Central.
Yeah.
We got the Guardians, who finished 92 and 69, wrapping up as the number one team in that division.
Yep.
Two teams came out of this division going into the wild card spot. You had the Royals at 86 and 76, as well as the Tigers. Then you had the Twins at 82 and 80. And then, hold on, I think I'm reading this right. The White Sox finished 41 and 121. Are you seeing the same thing I'm seeing? Are you
Yes,
seeing it?
sir.
Okay, just want to make sure I'm not crazy that we had a team lose 120 games, but we did. Um,
Yeah.
you know, looking at this division, How's it going to stack?
Okay. Here's a bold prediction. The Tigers are going to win this division this season. Um, each team in this
Okay.
division is going to actually get better. Each team is actually going to get better from where they were. Now, the White Sox, they can win 20 more games and still lose 100 games this season, but
Yes.
which is a sad, sad commentary. The
They
Detroit,
can lose. They can win 21 more games and still have 100 losses.
yeah, the Motown boys are going to win this division. They're going to win 90 plus games this season. Kansas City is going to get another wild card berth, as is Cleveland. Um, the
Okay.
twin the Twin Cities are going to miss out, and the White Sox have, yeah, they're just there for the show, right? I mean, this
That's
year.
fair. You got to have a fifth team in that AL West, in that AL Central. So, it makes sense you just keep the White Sox around as like the younger brother you tease on a regular basis and be like, hey, poke fun at you.
Yep.
Um, Now, you brought up something interesting. You're
Uh-huh.
giving the Guardians a a wild card berth.
Correct.
Um, you know, what gives you the confidence that they're going to be able to compete at the same level as another young team like the Mariners, who we'll talk about when we get to the West, or the Rangers, who did some stuff this offseason? Um, you know, what's giving your confidence that the Guardians are still going to be in that same tier
Okay.
as they were last year?
So good question. The answer is they play in the Central. They play 13 games against the White Sox. They play 13 games against the Twins. So that's 26 games against teams that I don't know that they're going to be as good as other teams. They also have the chance to play some of the other weaker teams, but they play in their division very, very, very well. So that's where I think the rubber's going to meet the road. Is they're going to play in
Okay.
their division, they're going to do very well in their division, and then take it from there.
It makes sense. I can agree. I can respect that. Um, where I am looking at this division coming from, I am actually going to give the Royals the division.
Okay.
I was high on them last year. I'm just going to stay high on them again this year. I have a lot of faith in that team. I see Detroit getting the wild card, and I see Cleveland missing. I
Oh,
do see
okay.
Cleveland missing this year.
Okay.
They've got potential, but I don't really like. There wasn't a big off season for them. It's not like I
Yeah.
saw their name picking up a lot of guys. Like
Yeah.
they've almost got the same kind of. They've got the same crew from last year going into this year. And while Jose Ramirez is great, you can't rely on one guy to be the backbone of that team. You just can't.
Correct. Correct.
So, I think they're going to compete. I think it will be close, but I see them missing. I do. I really
Okay.
do. I'm not high on them. And if I didn't give you my predictions for the AL East, I think the Yankees are going to win it. And I think I agree with you. I think the Red Sox are going to get a wild card spot. And I could see the Orioles being on the outside looking in by a game, like I said.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I don't think I don't think the Twins have it in them. And I think the White Sox are just, you know, missing from the top down. I think their front office is they don't the team doesn't have the confidence in the front
Yep.
office.
Yep.
And
Yep.
when your team loses confidence in your front office, you're just going to crumble. You just will.
Yep. 100%.
Um,
100%.
Now let's move over to the West, fourth
Okay.
best division in Major League Baseball, because they are not that great of a division anymore. You got the Astros, who finished at the top of that division by some miracle after having a shamble of a start in last season.
They did.
88 and 73. Mariners 85 and 77. Rangers 78 and 84. Athletics 69 and 93. And the Angels 63 and 99. They did not have a 100 loss season. They were close, but they
They're
didn't.
trying.
They really were.
They're
Bill, how is
fine.
this going to stack up?
Um, this one's tough for me because I don't think Houston's going to win the division. And this is win or go home. This division is going to be win or go home, just like it was last season. Um, every team in this division, I think, is going to get better, with the exception of the Astros. And so my thought here is that the Seattle Mariners are going to win the division with probably 88 wins. Houston and Texas will battle it out for second place. The Angels are going to be there between second and third place as well. The Angels are going to be a lot better team um, than they were last season. So, but I think the Mariners win this division.
Okay. I agree with you. I think the Mariners will win this division as well. I was high on them again last year. Again, I'm going to stay high on them again this year. I think they've got the talent, they've got the team. I think they have a front office that believes in them. I think they have a management. I think they have a skipper and a coaching staff that believes in the guys they're putting on the field.
Yep.
Um, and that goes a long way. It goes a long way. And as many people think it doesn't, I can't tell you how important it is to have the confidence from your front office and your coaching staff that every guy that they put onto the field is the right guy in that position.
Yep.
And I think that the Mariners last year may have been cautious about it, but this year I think they feel very comfortable about it.
Yep.
Um, I I will disagree with you. I think the Athletics will get better.
I agree.
Um, I think we are going to see a three-man race. I think we're going to see a three-man race for second. Um, but I
Okay.
don't think it will be the Angels that are competing. I think it
Okay.
will be the Athletics, the Rangers, and the Astros that will compete in. Because I think the Angels are going to trade too late in the season for Vladdy Guerrero Jr. That is going to push them out of the hope of getting into that competition realm for that for that second or third spot. Now, I only gave you two of my wild cards teams, so I'm throwing out my Hail Mary here. And my bold mic drop prediction,
Yep.
the Athletics will get the third wild card spot.
That is a mic draw prediction. I like that. I like that. That's bold. I like that a
Gotta,
lot.
gotta, 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 gotta spread the wings. Gotta spread them. And I think the Athletics not having a home, not having an identity, they're kind of going into this as like the Giants did in 2010. They're a bunch of misfits at this point that are just trying to play and have some fun. And I
Yeah.
think the Athletics are going to take that to their advantage. And I think the Astros will drop into third and the Rangers will drop into fourth, with the Angels finishing in last place like they did last year. That's
Okay.
my prediction, but we will see how it plays out. Um, these are just the ATD and these are just Grand Slam Sam and Bill's prediction. Just wait because Bill and I are going to be talking to the other fantastic TFR family members in a couple of weeks to talk about their predictions. So make sure you are tuned in for that one because that is going to be a fun show you're not going to want to miss. Now, we're going to slide into the National League here. We're going to run through this fairly quickly because, as always, Bill and I come close to the brink of time every week.
Yep.
Let's start in the NL East. Braves or Phillies last year won that division,
Uh-huh.
95 and 67. Braves were right after it, still making the wild card with 89 and 73. Same with the Mets at the same record, 89 and 73. Nationals 71 and 91, and the Marlins hit 100 losses with 62 wins and 100 losses.
I mean,
Bill, I
anything.
think you and I can both agree Miami is still going to end up at the bottom of the barrel, but where are the other four teams going to stack?
Okay, Miami ends up at the bottom of the barrel. It would not surprise me if they have another 100-loss season. The Washington Nationals will be better than they were last season. That's a very bold prediction. I do think Washington will have a 500 or better season this season. All right. There's going to be two wild cards that come out of this division. There's going to be a
Okay.
winner and two wild cards that come out of this division. Are you ready, Sam? Are you ready?
I'm not excited to hear who you're saying is going to win the division, but I can already predict who you're going to say. So just say it.
Who do you think it is?
I think you're going to say it's the New York Metropolitans.
I am. I am going to say that. They're pitching.
God, I'm so disgraced that a team that's supposed to commemorate our two organizations is going to win that division. But
Well,
what
it
do I
works it
know?
out that way. The Phillies are going to come in number two. Atlanta's going to come in number three. All three teams will win that division. I mean, all three teams will win a wild card, us or will be in the playoffs. I'm sorry.
Okay, I like your bold prediction. I don't
Yep.
think all I don't think three teams out of this division will make it into the postseason.
Ooh, ooh. I know why you're saying that. I get why you're saying that, but I disagree. X gets the square.
Well, we can agree to disagree, and we will see how the season wraps up, and we will revert back to this podcast when we get to the end of the season to see how we played out. But
Correct.
I unfortunately have to say I agree with you. I think the Metropolitans will take that division. I think they just have a great starting rotation. They've picked up the bats. They picked up the bat and Juan Soto that they needed. Now, granted, I've said it before and I'll say it again, and I'm open about it. Juan Soto is an average, mediocre fielder at best. But when you need a bat, he's the guy you want up to the plate. Bringing back Pete Alonso on a short stint was smart. But I think the Braves will be on the outside looking in. And I think Philly is going to come in and the wild card spot because the city is still high on the Eagles and they are in championship mode right now. They are just feeling championships coming out of the city. They may not be seeing it with the Sixers, but I think they are hoping to see it with the Phillies and finally get back there where they were a couple of years ago. So I see the Phillies being in the wild card, and I see, unfortunately, the Mets taking the division. But that's me. My bold prediction in this entire thing is going to come up in the next division. Let's move into the National League Central. Brewers won this division last year, 93 and 69. Cardinals, 83 and 79, same as the Cubs. Reds, 77 and 85, and the Pirates, 76 and 86. Bill, lay it on me. Give me your thoughts.
This one's tough. This one's tough.
This
Here
is
we
this
go.
is where my bold prediction is going to come from. So just wait.
Last place, St. Louis Cardinals. Fourth place, Cincinnati Reds. Although the Cincinnati Reds are going to be better than people think. They will probably be a 500 team. Third place is going to be the Pittsburgh Pirates. I think Paul Skeens is going to get them over 500 and in that third place position. Ready? Second place, Milwaukee Brewers, winning the division, the Chicago Cubs. Now, again, bold prediction, bold prediction. Milwaukee
I'm
wins enough
ready.
games to get the third wild card spot. So the wild card spots for me are Philly, Atlanta, and Milwaukee.
Okay, okay. I like your bold prediction. I'm going to counter your bold prediction.
I figured you would.
Um, I agree with you that I think the Cubs will win that division, but my bold prediction is that Skeens doesn't just get them over 500. I see Skeens getting them a wild card.
Oh,
And I see that team riding on the back of Skeens all the way into the playoffs that they haven't been in a number of years. Now, do
okay.
I think they'll do I think they're going to make it far into the playoffs? Absolutely not, because they're still missing pieces. But I do see that team doing enough and fighting enough to make it. And
Yeah.
I see the Brewers, unfortunately, for the first time in God knows how many years, being on the outside looking in.
Okay. Okay.
Um, I'll also say I think the Reds and the Brewers will tie in their positions. I think they'll have a very similar record, if not changed by a game. And I agree with you. I think the Cardinals are just going to end in last place because they have done absolutely nothing and have just gotten worse. You can't run that
Yeah.
team on Arenado. You got rid of your right corner in Goldschmidt. I have no faith in the Arizona and the St. Louis Cardinals. None, absolutely none,
None whatsoever. You're out on
none.
the Cardinals.
I am firmly out on the Cardinals, as firm as I could be. And now let's head over to the National League West. We're not even going to talk about the Dodgers because they're probably going to win the division. We're just going to
Wait, wait,
put them
wait,
on
wait,
that
wait, wait, wait,
pedestal.
wait. We can't skip over the team that's going to be 161-1, losing only
Oh,
one
that
game to the
yes,
White Sox.
yes. Bill's bold prediction, as he mentioned at the top of the show, the Dodgers are going to win every game except one, and their one loss is going to be to the White Sox. If that happens, I will streak in my neighborhood.
I don't want you to get arrested. Well, nobody will be
I'll
able
do
to
it
see
in the
anything
middle of the night
anyways.
so no one catches me, but I will do it. If they win 161 games and lose one, I will run around my block butt naked and I will have my
Woo!
wife film it and then we will blur out my private parts and I'll post
Uh,
it to Instagram.
well, it won't be
So
much of a
all I
blur, but okay.
need is the Dodgers to lose two games and I'm covered. But Um, you know, I looking at last year's rankings, Dodgers were 98 and 64, Padres were 93 and 69, D-backs were 89 and 73, Giants 82, 80 and 82, and the Rockies 61 and 101. So
Right.
taking the Dodgers out because they're probably going to be in first and taking the Rockies out because they're probably going to be in last, as you and I can both confidently say, as we've been watching this division for our entire lives.
Hmm.
How is the middle of the pack going to end? Who is
Rockies are
going to end
last.
second? Who's going to end third? And who's going to end fourth?
Rockies are going to end up in last, although they are not going to lose 100 games. They're going to be a little bit better. Fourth place is going to be the Padres. They are going to
Do you know
dip
how
down a bit.
sweet it was for me to hear you say that it's not the Giants?
Third place is going to be the Giants.
It's fine. It's one
Uh,
spot better than you typically tell us, so I'm okay with it. But
second
now,
place is going to be Arizona. Although, like I said, Milwaukee's getting a wild card spot. Arizona's not going to get 93. They're not going to get 93 wins this next season. Um, I think they dump into the high 80s, but Milwaukee will do enough to just outdo that, and or Atlanta or Philly. So I think it's win or go home in this division. Although it would not surprise me, Sam, if you have a number of teams that make the wild card from here. But I do think San Diego is going to come in the fourth place.
I couldn't agree more with you on that. I think second place is a battle between the Giants and the D-backs. Padres have just done nothing this offseason to improve themselves. They've
Yeah,
only gotten worse. There has been there have been a number of conversations with other analysts throughout MLB, ESPN, throughout the entire league that have seen a front office shift in the Padres organization and they are in that they are kind of in that winner die frame where it's
right.
like if we don't win we need to make some drastic changes this year. And I also wouldn't be surprised if you don't see a lot of drastic changes happening in the Padres organization by the trade deadline. I'm even going
If,
to throw
if
out
the
that as
Pod,
a bold prediction.
if the Padres aren't careful, if they're not careful, they will end up in last place in 2026.
Yeah,
Just,
100%. Couldn't agree with you more.
just saying.
Um
Just saying.
I I see I see the Giants being better than people expected. I see them breaking this hump of getting over the 500 mark. I see them being in the mid to high 80s, possibly breaking the 90 mark, but not by much if they do. If they do, it will be a 90 win, like 90th win. Um, but I could see the D-backs and the Giants really going back and forth in this for second place. That's my prediction. And again, I see the Dodgers, unfortunately, as painful as it is for me to say, Giants fans, they're going to win again because they pay for a lot of people. Anyway, okay, you have a 10-man starting rotation. You stop it. You don't give me this. Look, you have a 10-man starting rotation for Christ's sake.
That's 12 to you, sir.
12, whatever. I'll go to 15. How about that? They're playing every 14 games. I don't know. But those are our predictions.
There
We're,
it is.
like we've said, don't DM us, don't add us, don't send us snail mail, don't call us. We're going to send you the voicemail, file it away, and it'll never see the light of day.
The
But
complaint the complaint department for this is ran by Mike at Heads Up Sports Cards. Send all your
no, we
complaint
like
info.
Mike. We like Mike.
Oh, okay.
The complaint department is run by Phillies/Mets Megan, based out of Texas. You can find her at what's her Instagram handle, Bill?
Yeah, yeah, we'll leave that off. But the complaint department's ran by Megan and Dennis. Dennis Brown, also in Boston, runs our complaint department. So send either
You
complaint to
have to
either
go
Megan or
after my
Dennis.
guys. You have to go after Dennis too, man. Come on, give
Yeah,
Dennis a
listen,
break.
we
He just
gave
had a
Mike a
kid.
pass this week. We're gonna give
Yeah, but
Dennis.
Dennis just had a kid.
Okay, that's true. Okay, then don't message Megan first.
Megan can handle it. She's from New York. She can handle it. Come on. She's a Mets fan. She's handled disappointment in the past.
Awesome.
As we wrap up our predictions, we're going to take this right over into the podcast schedule for this week.
It's gonna
Bill,
take
lay it
30
on me. What
seconds.
you got going down?
American League with Ashley, Jeff, new podcast guest, Dodger fan. He also runs Locked On Dodgers. Um, Jen Solano, who we've had on before as a Mets guest, Can of Corn Thursday, College K on Friday.
Awesome. As always, make sure you are checking out TFR on X every Thursday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for It's Sports Talk. It's fan involved. We want to hear you on there. It's talking all sports, not just baseball, football, basketball, hockey, rugby, ultimate frisbee. You got a sport you want to talk about? We're talking about it. As
There you
well,
go.
check out every Tuesday and Thursday on Instagram 30 minute stint at 11 a.m. Eastern. I believe it's 8 a.m. Pacific for In the Leagues with Baseball
And
Bill every Tuesday and Thursday. As well, on Monday. I'm not sure when this is dropping, but on Monday, because I never know when this is dropping, we are doing our next Heads Up Top Fan Rivalry baseball break. We are doing a 2015 Bowman Jumbo Box. Looking out for Aaron Judge, Rafael Devers, Chris Bryan, Carlos Correa, Matt Chapman, and many, many more that came out of this box. If you haven't gotten your spot yet, there are still spots available. Make sure you get in there and make sure you buy one of those remaining ones. Who knows? A lot of times, the last ones remaining are the ones that have the best cards.
yeah,
Just saying, throwing it out there, it always happens. Once again, we got to thank our sponsors, Drunken Gentlemen's Club, Ruby's Diner, and the Inland Dunkin' Donuts crew. We thank you all for taking the time to sponsor us so we can bring you great content every week. Bill, any final comments for the fans out there as we wrap this up?
be on the lookout for a very special announcement that has to do with baseball cards this next week that will be dropping on Tuesday. That's all I have to say about that.
Awesome. As always, make sure you're checking out topamrivalry.com for new articles, podcasts, merch. If you haven't joined the T-shirt club, make sure you join it. If you haven't signed up for an exclusive member event, whether in person or virtual, make sure you're signing up. And make sure you're at TFR Fan Fest next year in January. It's going to be an awesome time. I will do my best to finally make it again for a second stint. But Bill, wrap us up as you typically do.
Go fight, win all. See you next week or see you in 2 weeks.
Always go fight and win every week. We thank you so much for joining us this time on ATD, and we will see you officially in 2 weeks. See you on the field.